Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today we're taking a look at more Trainers Pokemon and not Trainers Pokemon from the expansion Battle Partners, which is the Japanese expansion, releasing, I believe, at the beginning of next year. And the international expansion will be called Journey Together, releasing, so Battle Partners in Japan, releasing on the 24th of January, and March 28th is the release date of Journey Together, the international set. A few things to talk about with Journey Together, real quick, before we get into the new cards. First of all, there were some cards from Prismatic Evolutions, or cards that I thought were in Prismatic Evolutions, which are not. There are some cards that have been cut from the set. According to the website Justin Basil, there is the Blaziken EX as well as the Lillian, which are both decent cards. So Prismatic, that's good for Journey Together, not great for Prismatic Evolutions, which appears to be a pretty terrible set. I mean, Badoo looks good, and there's a handful of other decent cards, but like just okay, and then that's it. So ultimately that set looks unfortunately kind of bad. Like the evolutions don't look very good, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Journey Together, and we took a look at the ends cards, the Lilies cards, which the ends cards look good as a deck, and so that's cool. I think we're gonna see maybe one more ends Pokemon, but not necessarily, or maybe another end support card, and then we saw Iono's cards. Then we saw just two of them, so we were essentially guaranteed to get an extra one, which we do have today. The Iono's Belly Bolt EX accelerates as much lightning energy from your hand as you want to your Iono's Pokemon, and it has an okay attack. They're just pretty mediocre. And then you have the Iono's Kilowattrel, which I actually misspoke about before, and now we have a new art as well. This art is fun, and it says you must discard a basic lightning energy attached to this Pokemon in order to use this ability. Then you draw till you have 6 cards in hand. I thought it was from your hand. How much does that matter in decks that aren't the Iono's deck? That's like completely different, so it won't really be playable if you're not able to accelerate like essentially infinite energy to it. But within the Iono's Belly Bolt deck, it doesn't really matter, because assuming you have the Iono's Belly Bolt set up, which you might not, but then you could just attach the first energy to Kilowattrel by hand. Iono's Kilowattrel. Like Iono's Kilowattrel evolves exclusively from Iono's Wattrel, not regular Wattrel. So then you could just attach the first one here, and then the ones you draw into after, you can put them on where you want them in. And yeah, Lily's card, Lily's Clefairy EX, as well as the support card, looks good. The tool, the Lily's Pearl card, is definitely a pretty good card, but I think right now with what we've seen, they look okay. So far, the support cards for the very specific trainers Pokemon are very strong. They're very strong. We'll see that again today. But the trainers Pokemon themselves aren't necessarily super strong. They're decent. So the idea is they work within this very closed design space of certain types of support. And we'll see that again with the Hops Pokemon today. But going back to the Iono's Pokemon, we have Iono's Voltorb. This is, I guess, the main one for two colorless. You do 20 more for each lightning energy attached to your Iono's Pokemon, all of them, including itself. This is okay. It's like I guess it's a good attacker. It's not a great attacker though. You can accelerate as much energy as you want, but in order to take one shots, you need a lot of energy. You need way too much energy. You need like 15 energy, which is not really something you can get realistically. This isn't really a great main attacker. As a single prize, like techie attacker, it's decent certainly, but it's not amazing. Pairing that with Iono's Belly Bolt could be okay. The Iono's Kilowattrel is not really an attacker. And then there's Iono's Electrode here, which is I guess an interesting card, not really within the deck, but Heart Pounding Bomb. It does 100 to itself, presumably knocking it out. There are ways to make it survive, I think. Um, yeah, I don't remember I can't think of any off the top of my head. There is a stadium. No, I think that increases damage. So I don't know if there's a way to make it survive, but there probably is. But regardless, the idea is you knock yourself out, then you flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active is knocked out, but that's a coin flip. So if it guaranteed knocked him out, it might be decent, but it doesn't. So yeah, probably not super great here. You could try to rely on the coin flip, get heads, and then be in a very good position or a decent position, not even a great position, but that's probably not a card you're looking to use too much. Then let's talk about the Hops support card here. We actually have two of them. We have Postwick, which is a stadium card. The attacks of Hops Pokemon, both yours and your opponents, do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. And yeah, that's obviously pretty good. And then you have Hops Choice Band, which is kind of weird because Choice Band is like an actual tool. I mean, it's not an actual tool in standard, but it was a tool. And this is actually kind of similar. It obviously only works in Hops Pokemon, but then it says the attack costs. This is when the Hops Pokemon this card's attached to uses an attack, it costs one colorless less, which is kind of some weird wording. Maybe I don't know. And then it does 30 more damage to your opponent's active. That's obviously very good. We have Counter Gain, which is a good tool card. It only works when you're losing, and so that's why it's not like super insane. But it's a very good tool, I think. I haven't really played with it too much and haven't seen it used that much, but it's good, and it's obviously good if cards are really made to work specifically with it. And then doing 30 more is obviously really good as well. So right now, Post-Trick plus Hop Choice Band, you can do 60 more. Then we have the Snorlax here, which says that Big Belly with the ability here, it's Hop Snorlax. The attacks of your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. It does not stack. I believe it will stack with the Choice Band and Post-Trick, but not with, other Hop Snorlax. So you can go ahead and be doing 90 more. Then we look at Hop Snorlax itself here, assuming you have the tool on. Just 80 to itself has 150 HP, so 80 to yourself isn't ideal, but you're not really aimed at tanking here, but you'll be weakened for one hit, but it's not that big of a deal. Two colorless, you do 140, and that's or through colorless you 140, but then with the tool all of a sudden, well actually no, you don't do you do 170 like guaranteed because you have Hop Snorlax applying to Hop Snorlax, so it's at least 170 unless you're ability locked, and then with the tool on you're doing 200 for two colorless. There is no double turbo, and there isn't energy acceleration. There's like a Zacian. No, that doesn't energy accelerate. But regardless, you have Hop Snorlax here, and this does, and that's doing 200. The Stadium is doing 230, so that's a lot, right? That's a lot of damage for two colors on the basic. There is no double turbo energy. So, well, actually, I don't know. I wonder what we'll see in terms of a replacement for double colorless or slash double turbo if they will just leave us with um with like something like reversal energy, which is kind of like it, but not really, and Neo Upper as well, which are pretty, they're not really replacements for that card at all, but we might get a replacement for that in some manner. But regardless, we don't have that right now, so the energy isn't free to get on, but I'm sure there are ways to get it on. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are definitely a bunch. So that is pretty strong, right? That's a pretty good card. Then you have the Hops Double, and Wooloo. Wooloo's not very good. With the damage buffs, I guess it's okay. If you are adding 90 extra damage and reducing its attack cost, then all of a sudden you're hitting 140 for 2 in a basic, which is like decent, but it's not insane. Then you have Hops Double, which says that you, on play, when you evolve this during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active. That seems like really, really good. It has an attack, which, as I said, with the Hop Snorlax and things like that, then it is, it's okay, but it's not that good. But the ability is so good. Like, this seems amazing. I've not played with the Ledian, but Ledian's not, this is not a broken ability, I don't think. Ledian is a card that gusts Pokemon with 90 HP or less. I keep thinking it's 70, but most of the Pokemon that matter are 70, but it gusts 90 HP or less Pokemon. I've not seen this card played. I played it in I've seen it like in pre-release, I guess, but yeah, it's not a great card. So I don't think Hops Double is super broken. Someone said it's like super broken. It's no, it's like we'll talk about it. There's some other cards that you need to compare it to, but another card with this ability is Umbreon VMAX. It was a VMAX. Right now, VMAXs are really bad because they give up 3 prizes, but it was definitely a decent Pokemon, and it was like a good card, and it wasn't really a big. It wasn't like a liability to have on the board. It wasn't ideal, but it was the same amount of liability, essentially as Hops Double. Giving up the 3 prizes was not usually that big of an issue. Certainly you wouldn't be looking to put it into like a random single prize deck, but the Umbreon V or VMAX were not. Yeah, they are the same amount of liabilities as something like probably your main attacker, so it didn't really matter. But Umbreon VMAX was an okay card, right? As I said, but it's all play. It was not a bad card, but was mostly played in decks where it had was like a decent attacker, and we see it in like darkness decks or single strike decks. It was also single strike. Oh, and there was the Umbreon stall deck, which I thought wasn't. Oh yeah, no, it was I don't remember how this deck worked, to be honest, but regardless, there's that deck, and Umbreon VMAX was okay, but then there was Lycanroc GX, which we need to talk about as well, which is probably a better comparison. But regardless, then there's also Cramorant here, which is comparable to the Buzzwole we saw a little while ago. It's not the same by any means, but it's somewhat similar. Fickle here for 1 colorless does 120, but only if your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prizes remaining. Buzzwole, but your opponent is 4, I think. which that not that puzzle. This which puzzle? This one. I think. Yeah, so it was if they had exactly 4 prizes remaining, it did 120. Hitting for 30 was meaningful. You also damaged buffs with this deck. You had strong energy, and you also had uh, Diancie Prison. There are some different buffs, but regardless, you had similar buffs there, and then you'd be able to like attack with Buzzwole, but you could use the buffs on the 30 damage attack, like turn one or whatever, and be doing sizable damage. And you also hit weakness and had more HP, had a higher retreat, but also you had the second attack, which was playable at times as well, definitely. So ultimately, this Buzzwole is a card that is better than the Cramorant, realistically. This can be buffed. You have like 90 damage in terms of buffs. And with the tool, it's free, which is like good, I guess. Being free is obviously, nice, but it's not very hard to get one energy on either. So being free versus one energy doesn't matter that much, in my opinion. Especially like free attacks turn one are meaningful, I guess, but you can't use this turn one. So can be doing up to 210 though, which is good. Though a little short on like if you could do 30 more, it'd be noticeably better to one shot random 2 prize basics. You can one shot some of them, but you can't one shot all of them. But definitely not a bad card. I'm not going to sit here and say that Hop's Experiment is bad. This is a very, very good card. Hop's Double is also decent, and this goes to the Buzzwole Lycanroc deck, which I'm not super familiar with. I'm going to be completely honest, but I'm just opening up a random list here. This one has apparently a tag team. This is a little bit of a different era than it's generally viewed in. But wait, is this? I think this is expanded. Never mind. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it does actually a lot, but in terms of this video, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, you had Lycanroc GX, which gusted with its ability. It had a usable attack, but it wasn't like an amazing attacker by any means. And then Buzzwole was this main attacker, but Sledgehammer was a very meaningful attack for not the 4 prize attack. So, which you can't do at all with Cramorant. You can't be applying some amount of pressure. The game was different than, as I said, this is expanded, but and standard decks are more evolution focused. They're still somewhat evolution focused, but you would be able to go ahead and knock out pre-evolution basics at times with we see strong energy and Diancie Prism Star. And Beast Energy as well. There was an Ultra Beast that was like meaningful, I guess. It depends on the deck how meaningful it was. But yeah, Hop's Cramorant has a similar vibe to Buzzwole, and Double has a similar vibe to Lycanroc. They don't actually have like that much synergy. They're both Hops Pokemon, but Hops Double being a Hops Pokemon doesn't really seem like it matters that much. And then for Hops Pokemon, we see Hops Zacian EX. This card is interesting. It's the only Hops Pokemon. And I think we've seen all the Hops cards. If I had to guess, we saw 2 support cards for it. We got 4 evolution lines as well. Hops Zacian EX here. Most of them are basics, but 4 different lines. And we do have 5 Pokemon within Wooloo. But Close Cleave for one. Oh, this is also interesting. So for one colorless, you do 30 and 30 on your opponent's bench Pokemon. So this is like the Buzzwole GX with Jet Punch. So that's kind of cool. Jet Punch was yet again a meaningful attack. With the buffs, it wasn't particularly meaningful. But regardless, you could do that attack and be swinging decent active damage, maybe knock out a pre-evolution basic, and then also be doing a little bit of snipe damage. We'll be losing Manaphy. There's Rabsca, and we'll see what we get as a replacement for Manaphy if we are just stuck with Rabsca, which is not an unplayably bad card or anything. It's a card that sees play right now to stop Dragapult, but Manaphy is certainly much better. Not at stopping Dragapult, but at just generally it's better. But regardless, Hops Zacian EX here. That first attack's okay, though it's not amazing, especially on like a 2-prizer. You need to kind of weigh what you're getting out of this. But then you have 4 of energy, 3 which are metal. Brave Slash, which does 240 during your opponent's during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Brave Slash. This is very similar to Brave Blade. I assume it's not Brave Blade. The attack name, but it's very similar. You could then boost this to 330 with all the buffs, which is obviously pretty good. That's like a very solid number to be hitting to essentially one-shot everything. I don't really know off the top of my head what this doesn't one-shot, so that's very good. I mean, like it doesn't one-shot like a Venusaur EX, but what good cards, if any, this doesn't one-shot. But this is definitely a pretty decent attack, but it's very expensive, and I don't know really how you get the energy on. There's not acceleration for this that I can think of. Outside of like Metang, which is okay, definitely not a bad card, but you really need to be focusing on Metang for Metang to actually work as your engine. excuse me. Oh, there's also our Caledon EX, but again, that's like kind of weird. It's a bit of a commitment, and so I don't exactly know how good Hop's Zacian EX will be. Maybe it's really good. It's supposed to be kind of similar to the Zacian V as well that we saw, but it has this like strong attack. I guess it's supposed to be like Buzzwole GX as well, but this is supposed to be like the fighting deck of what was this, like 7, 8 years ago? Um, yeah, something like that. So, multiple generations ago, it's supposed to be similar to that, which Pokemon has actually. I might make a whole video on how Pokemon's compared trying to make the EX era like the GX era, which was, I think, a decently popular format. I think most formats are, good. I mean, Pokemon's a fun game, but um, the way evolutions work, which is meaningful here because the previous evolutions have lower HP. Something like Close Cleave can take advantage of that, and even something like just an attack on Hop's Willow, though I don't think that's something you're really ever looking to use because you'll probably have Hop Snorlax in play already at that time, and after you attack with Hop Snorlax, you have the same HP as Hop's Willow anyways. Then you have the exchange ticket tool, this or item. This is a really interesting item here that is very good, I think. Well, I don't know. It's good. I think it'll see a lot of play, and I think people will like it. It says, after counting your prize cards, shuffle them, put them on the bottom of your deck, then take that many cards from the top of your deck and put them face down as your prize cards. You don't see these. I mean, you could if you like somehow set it up, but that's not super meaningful. Putting cards in your prizes isn't good. I saw a comment on the PokeBeach article I'm looking at talking about the Chansey, which is like kind of funny. It's like a silly meme deck card. It's seen like niche play, but mostly does a pre-evolution. But on a coin flip, you can like get an extra prize, which is like kind of funny, but whatever. Regardless, you can do that. Then you have, but that's not that meaningful. But the major thing is obviously, so if you don't know, Hisuian Heavy Ball is rotating. Hisuian Heavy Ball is so good. I've loved that card. It's not going to get reprinted now. I think that's more or less confirmed, but with exchange ticket. But I would love to see it come back. It really smooths things out, which is really nice, right? So you can do that. You can use you can get out basics, which are the main cards that are like tech options within decks, but maybe you have a tech option supporter or something that's prized, and then you just kind of, you might just like lose the game on the spot due to that. Probably not. That's generally an over exaggeration, but that's kind of true. But with the exchange ticket, then you can get that out. Obviously, this could also be prized, but that's very unlikely that you prize both cards. And it's good. And then the cards are on the top of your deck. Or wait, no, they're on the bottom of your deck, so you can't draw them for a while, but you can then search them out with Ball Search. You'll probably shuffle your deck as well. So putting them on the bottom isn't that meaningful compared to shuffling them in. This is like Rotom Dex, I believe. Rotom Dex is a pretty it's a weird card, right? It's all playing expanded some. It's pretty similar, but then you also shuffle them into your deck, and then theoretically they can go back into the prize cards, which would be like really unfortunate. This is better than Rotom Dex, noticeably. Or not like it's not drastically better, but you can't end up in these really unfortunate circumstances with exchange ticket. You could have some weird stuff happen, but definitely a card that I'm excited to see. It might be a little annoying keeping track of your prizes like all the time. Right now, it's something that you kind of keep track of once. Now then you also need to do it again when you play exchange ticket, which might mean they're going to see these long searches before exchange ticket. Maybe not. I guess that doesn't necessarily happen, but long searches after exchange ticket, I guess. Then we got Brock Scouting. Presumably there are not Brock's Pokemon. This is not interact with Brock's Pokemon. And for the trainers we've seen so far, it's like Hop's Choice Band, but it's not Hop. There are no supporters for the trainers Pokemon. So Brock Scouting here says choose one, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Or search for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is essentially like a better version of something like PokeKid. How do I search this out? I don't know. Oh, it's 2 words. Okay, I thought I had to use that E. Anyways, so this gets any Pokemon. Theoretically, this is better in like there are certain cards this can't search. I don't think any of them are in the format now, so it's just a better version of something like this. Getting 2 basics is good. Getting 1 evolution is also good. This is a decent supporter. It's not amazing, but it's pretty solid. Obviously, Ultra Ball is a card that's good, but it's the main form of universal Pokemon search. So this is another option. We will be losing Lumineon V with rotation as well, but I think this card is fine. I don't think it's amazing. I don't know exactly what decks will want it or not want it. I think it'll be more so like a player-to-player thing, and I don't think it's a super strong supporter, but it is a nice one to have in the game. It's pretty decent. Then we have some more Pokemon. We covered all the trainers Pokemon, but we have two evolution lines here. We got this Sprigatito, Floragato, and Meowscarada. The previous evolutions are pretty not meaningful, but Meowscarada here says its ability Showtime. Once during your turn, you can use this ability to send it to the active. We've seen abilities like this on stage 2s and on basics. Obviously, it's much better on a basic. Not so useful on the stage 2, though. It's a good, I guess. But then you have Rising Bloom here. For 2 colors, it does 90 or 182 in EX. For 2 colorless, again, double turbo energy is rotating, which isn't great, right? That's not great for Meowscarada or Meowscarada EX, but this is a decent attack as a single prizer. Your HP is a little low for a stage 2 single prizer, and your damage is also like not great, but it's an okay card. Then we have Swinub, and then we got Piloswine, and then Piloswine. I don't know how to pronounce these cards. Like barely ever, Pokemon barely ever get cards, but regardless, or at least recently, specifically good ones. But Mamoswine is an interesting card. I read a few people say this card is like super broken, and it's not. I'm just gonna say that it's like definitely not super broken. But regardless, Mammoth Carry. Once during your turn, you can search a deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. This is pretty good. Obviously, you'd rather have like Pidgeot EX in play. This is of higher HP and can stack. So theoretically, you get a bunch of Mamoswine. Then you have Rumbling March, which is 180, 40 more for each stage 2 Pokemon on your bench. You're not really looking to pair this with Area Zero Underdepths, I don't think. That's just a little clunky, and you don't, in terms of maxing out damage, you definitely don't need a full, like, you don't need a full 8 bench Pokemon. 5 will one-shot everything, but regardless, you can, and 4 will really one-shot everything as well. You have high HP. Your energy cost is kind of awkward to fighting. I don't really know how you're powering this up, but yeah, this is an interesting card. It seems like not great. I mean, the damage is good if you can set it up, but I always compare Stage 2 Pokemon to Charizard EX. That's probably the easiest one to compare to in terms of damage, and this is probably worse, right? It's probably it's okay, but obviously you need to get the energies on, which is awkward. So I guess it'll like getting a bunch of stage 2s in play is kind of hard. It's not impossible. There's the Luxray. If you're losing, you can just play it down, which at some point you'll probably be down in prizes, so you can just play all them down. I'm not super familiar in standard, I guess in Scarlet and Violet, what the stage 2s are with guess I'll do all languages. With abilities that let you just play them down, that will be surviving rotation. There's the Gengar. Gengar would be so good with this, but you will not be having Gengar because it's rotating. So just keep that in mind. Stage 2s. Oh, with abilities, I guess is what I'm looking for. Where are her abilities? So you got that. I've lost it. Okay, there we go. The limitless search feature is generally nice, but there are a few things that I forget about where they are. Regardless, you have Kling Klang. Kling Klang's interesting. If your opponent has a stage 2 in play, you can just play it down. So this is one of the cards I was like, there's another Kling Klang kind of with a. There's some weird Kling Klangs, but regardless, you can do this one, which is good, I guess, against some decks, but obviously not good against others. There are times when it's completely useless. Then there's the Luxray, which if you're losing, you can just toss it down, and that's it. If you're looking for another Pokemon like Meowscarada, there was Decidueye EX as well. That's very similar, but better. Yeah, that ability is better, and it's not a very good card. It's probably arguably a better attacker. It's a weird card, but regardless, you have Klinklang and you have Luxray, and then obviously you could just play other stage 2s that are actually good, like Pidgeot EX or whatever. Mamoswine EX is a fun card, probably a bit of a meme deck, but definitely a little bit fun. Not bad, not great. Another card with the ability like Mamoswine EX. There was like the Grotle. Grotle's decent. It's a stage 1, and it's okay. We've seen Pokemon like this. It is type specific. We've seen a handful of them. None of them have been great or on great types either, I don't think. Grass, obviously, not the best. But then you also have Nidoqueen, which was a card that had the same ability, and that card was not very good. I mean, it was getting themed, I guess, but it wasn't even that good. It was okay. It was a fun deck. I think there's some weird expanded deck with it too. But a niche deck, certainly. So this Nidoqueen isn't very good. There might be some other Pokemon with the same exact ability that I'm forgetting. But if I'm forgetting it, it's probably not very good. So ultimately, Mamoswine EX is okay. I think the coolest things that we saw revealed today are definitely the Hops cards and Exchange Ticket. Exchange Ticket is cool. I think the Hops cards are going to be really good. I think they'll be decent at least. I think they are, in terms of ranking the 4 trainers we've seen, we saw Lilies, Iono, Hop, and N. I think obviously we've seen the least Lilies cards, and we haven't seen. There's seen a decent amount of the other 3. So Lily might be last. Honestly, the Iono's cards look kind of bad, but we've only seen a handful. We should see at least 1 or 2 more of those. The Hops cards look good. I think the Hops look the best. The Ends cards look kind of fun, but I want them to be good. They're kind of cool, but we'll see if they end up being good. I think Ends cards will be okay. I think the Hops cards will be really fun and really good. But anyways, tell me what you think of these cards down below in the comment section. Which ones you think are the best and the worst and all that good stuff. But I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, joining the channel, all the good stuff. I'm excited. It's Christmas, or it's not Christmas at the time of recording this, but it was recently Christmas, so I've been a little worn out. So I will be getting back into the content grind. Not that I haven't been doing daily content, but hopefully I'll be. I got some big plans. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm excited to see you in the next video.